playoffs, so it's not a map that either team is unfamiliar with. I'm just curious to see who's going to stand up here and play really well on the Blue Jays side, because you've got a legacy side that's been exceptionally successful over the last month or so, especially against a North American competition, right? They went through Marsborn, Vagrants, and getting info, right, to get to this point.
Yeah, I'm completely there with you. I mean, for Blue Jays, I'm looking at Snav, who's always called very well on this map, even when he was in that Timberman banner. It's been a staple for him. So seeing how he actually tries to maneuver around the map will be very interesting. Going toe-to-toe against a player like Lux, who has also kind of figured out how to play on this map and call on this map very effectively. That little head-to-head there will be very interesting. But we've got an A setup here straight away for the T side. 3 players in Palace, and a little bit of a default setup more so from Lux and Dumao, trying to take first contact to clear out mid. But these dual Berettas from Snav could be very dangerous.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely are. Okay, Snav going to get a couple. Probably the third. No, Nissim is good for it, actually. And Snav does fall. But that's a fantastic start here for the Blue Jays. Opening things up with a man advantage. Now Legacy are scrambling a little bit to try and regain their composure. And look at what they found. Lux on an open B site. Blue Jays obviously realize that this is a bit of a risk, but they haven't seen Lux get past the angle. So Derek's going to be walking out here and hoping that he has an advantage, but he doesn't. Lux going to get both of them. Dare and Fruitcupx gone. 3v2 in favor of Legacy. What a turnaround.
Not diligent enough, man.
Yeah.
Not diligent enough to clear out that angle. And now Slight has an opportunity to encroach upon this B bomb site. And it's a 1v1 on the site. He knows that Dumao is stuck over here in jungle. If he could get a move on, maybe there's a little bit of a chance here, but it looks like Nissim has stalled just long enough. He's getting pinched from both sides, and now Slight, real difficult situation. Don't believe he has a kit either, so even though he, I was going to say finds that kill, but he can't even find that. Dumao able to get that last bullet through, and Legacy get themselves their pistol.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Snav, who's actually been the best player for the Blue Jays over the last month, is going to get 2 there, like you saw. And just unfortunately for the Blue Jays, they could not close it down. Dumao did great work towards the end. I think it was Lux before that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to mention was with Snav, yeah, being the top of the scoreboard, a 1.13 rating. Plus 70 kill to death differential over the 40 maps they played over the last month. Freshy's right behind him at 1.07. But I think the rest of the squad needs to step up. One surprising point is Fruitcupx kind of slipping to 4th place on the team. He's one of those players that really brought the Blue Jays up in the past, and they're going to need more from him as they move forward, or hope to move forward at least in these playoffs, because this is the last chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this guy, when he is on his A game, produces some insane highlights. This very aggressive space taker kind of embodies the NA mentality in a lot of ways. And he's a grinder, man. I see this guy putting in the work, playing as many Face-It bugs as possible, playing in FPL.
Yep.
And it's something that you don't see all too often these days. But you'd like to see that work translate into a higher rating, a little bit more impact, bigger highlights from him, because as you and I both know, he's very capable of that, right?
Yep.
And he absolutely is the person that you're looking towards in this best of 3 to say, if we want to talk about a Blue Jays upset, you look towards him and say, I need a little bit more out of you on the day.
For sure. And but we'll see. Also, I would say Dare. We highlighted him in the pregame as well, but better performances from him will certainly be required as he's sitting at 5th place position on the squad right now with a 1.00 rating over that last month. Let's talk a little bit about Legacy. For those of you who haven't necessarily seen them recently, 4 months ago they made a change, and it was Nikiz and Barton gone, and they added Nissim and Lux. Those are pretty interesting pieces, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a shock to me that Barton was removed from the team. But Nissim has really stepped up in terms of how he wants to approach some of these supportive elements. And they've actually slotted Lotto in some of the anchor roles as well. And this guy, of course, is just the Swiss Army knife of Brazilian rifling and has just been able to fit like a glove in that position as well. So both of those players have really figured it out. And of course, you're not expecting Lux looks to automatically be a good caller, and he's definitely had some hiccups here and there. I'm not going to say that it's been a smooth ride in that new role from him, but he's definitely improved, and it's clear that he understands the game a little bit more to a modern perspective, something that Nekiz didn't necessarily provide. And there you go. Nissim automatically getting you that opening, punishing Snav in the Palace, and already making an opening here on this A site.
Okay, 5v4 for Legacy. This is the first gun round for the Blue Jays. So far, it hasn't yielded anything. Only a little bit of damage as they lose 2 players. Dumal spamming the smoke. Tetra's position could be a little bit of an edge here for Freshie. Nope. He gets 1 and goes down immediately. 4v2, and I mean, Blue Jays are right here on the site. I think they're going to challenge because of the positioning, but I don't know if they're going to win it. Yeah, Dumal finds himself a second. Fruitcupx, the last one standing, and he's gone too. This is not looking great in the early goings for the Blue Jays.
I mean, instant impact there from Nissim.
Yeah.
Punishing this opening aggression from Snav, and then finding way more impact to just carve up that A defense. Not easy to do. I mean, you see some of the best players in the world, players like Rops, who understand how to nail those timings. And I think for Nissim, he's not a guy that you're looking to be that Rops character, but
right
in that round there, he absolutely shows the capabilities of being that kind of player. And straight away, Blue Jays on the back foot. This is, I'm not going to say dire straits, but not the start that you wanted, especially if you want to rile up this Brazilian roster.
Yeah, you really did want to get a hot start or something where you could start to threaten. They did that against NRG on map number 2 on Mirage, and that's what really got them that map and let them push to map number 3. But right here, it's not been great. And Mirage isn't necessarily bad for them, right? We'll see if they can bounce back. Again, still early. We shouldn't count them out yet. It's just the way, you know, sometimes at the beginning of those maps, you see the way teams are losing. That's what becomes a concern here.
Absolutely. And Lux adds insult to injury, opening 5v4 granted for the captain, but he's run out of bullets here and is pinned directly against the wall. 3 players to fight him, and Freshie's found one with the USP. Dumal in a 1v3 situation, bombed down, but HP bars low. Guns haven't been recovered, so that does put things into a little bit of a precarious situation here for the Star. Flash over for Dumal, but he's not been able to spot anybody, and there's a ticking timer on this as Freshie is encroaching upon him through Palace. That nade is solid. That massive nade there. Absolutely a chance now for Dumal as he gets out of dodge just barely. He's anticipating the A main play, but Freshie's gone into Palace. How do you read this if you're Dumal?
I don't know. I mean, he's tucked himself into ramp, so it's actually not that bad. He gets 1 at the slight. This is actually a really good position. Freshie and Dumal just passed each other. Now Freshie's trying to defuse the bomb. Dumal senses it. He has to go and check here. It's being watched. Dumal has to get the frag on the stairs player. He can't. There it is. Freshie defuses, and a first round picked up by the Blue Jays in the unlikeliest of ways. It's just a collapse that happened there towards connector, and once you see the player run out of bullets, I can't remember who it was. It was Lux, yeah. He ran out of bullets, and the situation for him became very dire. Pulls out the pistol, but right as he does, 3 frags come through from the Blue Jays, a couple from the USPs, and that is honestly a coup for the Blue Jays to get themselves into this one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolute boon to get there. I mean, if Lux is being pinned like that by 3 players, there's got to be an instant response, and this is definitely an instant response, and then some. Fast out of this B bomb site, straight away to Mal with the MAC-10, pushing Dare to the back site, but Dare stands strong for at least 1. That being said, though, Bob should be able to get planted safely, and in a 4v4, you gotta favor the T's on this B site.
Yeah, you really do, especially with Snav going out to 8, and there's still some util available. That nade, if it catches Snav, it makes it a man advantage, assuming they toss it. I imagine Lato wants to, but it's just a matter of keeping the guns out for now. Oh, nice smoke pop there to help Freshie locate the frag onto Lux. Still going to be a difficult retake here for the Blue Jays to get through, and that's why. You got 3 players tucked in different angles. Great trade from Fruitcupx. We talked about him needing to be big. He at least makes it a 2v2 here for his squad. Snav coming around the corner, doesn't win that fight. Just not enough HP, and Slate has to leave. He just doesn't have a choice with the AWP in his hands.
Yeah, great work there from Blue Jays to get crafty around those smokes tossed in the market window, but it's not enough at the end of the day. With this able to scamper himself over to the catwalk, you still have this golden crossfire through bench. And this is the danger that comes with playing against Legacy. It's something that they've improved upon previously. I think when they had Nekias under the leadership, they were very slow. And that really cost them, where it was a very readable situation where you didn't have enough pace mix-up to allow for rounds like that to come that easily. So I'm glad that Lux is already showcasing us that potential that he can have, where he can just send it B, they've got the snap execution, and they've got great tethering between teammates to get the proper trades.
Yeah.
Straight away from Slight now to try and find an opener, and just lands a tag.
Yeah, Legacy were notorious for their slow play, right, under Nikis. So definitely that has been mixed up here by Lux, who's managed to find his way into window room. Will get traded by Fruitcupx, who's in ladder. So that's a 4v4. And HP bars, it's to the advantage of Blue Jays because Dumal's down to 17. They don't have the space they're hoping for in towards this A site, but that might not be the final destination here because you see... Excuse me, because you see Dumal is actually working his way into the apartments and oh, Freshy, what a timely frag to get. That's the bomb.
Yeah, that is the bomb. But Lotto
yeah,
does win that fight, and that does change things up. And still with a minute left on the clock, look at Dumal. Dumal's all the way in that B-bomb site, right? And having all that space and all that territory, just about finding a way to join hands with him.
Yeah, I was trying to get the words out, but then that duel happened. But for sure, Dumal walking on to B, he just wanted to lurk into the apartments with his low HP. I guess he figured it was the best thing for him to do, is to try and find some space or some information for his team before he goes down. But he finds more than that. He finds the vacant B site. And this is the second time so far in 6 rounds that Legacy have walked onto an open B site.
Look at this timing from Dare. He's got a real opportunity. He's caught Nissim straight away. 2v3 now. Does Fruitcupx check his corners? No, he doesn't. And that's a freebie over to Dumal. And that shoulder peek is not fast enough. And it comes down to Lotto with the clutch. A 1v2 necessary. You spotted out the second player and he hits the headshot as well. Beautiful work there from Lotto. Yes, he can be the supportive player, but man, can he clutch up as well.
That was beautiful movement from Lotto too. Baited out the shots, got back behind cover, and as soon as he gets behind cover, you could just feel it, right? He's jiggling back and forth, making sure his peak and his movement is timed perfectly so he regains the advantage and finds it. That's just like, honestly, it's a tough corner to clear when you're coming out of market because you have to look towards E-Box, you have to check Cat, and then you have to think about what's behind you. So I understand the situation being a little difficult, and of course, Fruitcupx doesn't check the right corner. So Blue Jays have their round victory isolated. They're back to the pistols, but we can't forget the pistols are what yielded them that first round victory. Let's see if they can do the same thing again here to try and bring this one back because, like you said, Paladin, just a great response from Legacy after losing the previous round. Just bulldoze into that B site, just the blitz assault, and it works.
And now a very simple call, at least with initially executing into that A bomb site, but they don't immediately go off of that. They wait for the flashes to come back the other way. The Molotov is placed perfectly there from Lotto. And Nissim perfectly timed out of the Palace as well. Just completely eradicates what interesting idea the Blue Jays had on the other end. And this should be that 6th round locked and loaded.
Oh yeah, it's done. Well, the Blue Jays had the stack there as well. It's like you said, it was an interesting idea, but it got picked apart by Legacy and some well-placed utility, as you mentioned, in particular the Molotov, perfect spacing on it. As Slight is going to be the last alive here, standing on the trash can, hoping beyond all hopes that he can just get a frag and get a gun and survive this round somehow. But I gotta say, it doesn't feel likely. No one's behind him, so maybe he can still survive the round, but I doubt he'll get a gun or an upgrade here. He wants to chase a little bit to try and keep them on the site, and it doesn't work. He falls, Sad's in, will get that, and it's a 6th for Legacy.
I think the best part about Sadzin's spot in this lineup is sometimes he doesn't really have to do anything. I mean, he's got such a fantastic rifle core around him. His whole role on the team is to hit and nail the easy shots. And you'll see that when he does get called upon to bring those openings and just be right there in the right place at the right time, that's why he's a very exciting offer to watch in his own right, where he's not going to be the flashiest of players for you, but he'll get you the job done, and that's something that Legacy can really count on moving forward.
Slightix gets connected on here down to 7 HP. So he's going to have to fade off here. Can no longer face into mid. You see here Legacy taking that space. Not wasting any time, yeah. Shot through the smoke. Didn't connect on anything, but it felt like it was possible. That being said, we've come back down to a standstill a little bit here. Legacy going back to the B site because, honestly, why not? They've had so much success there. They found the B site free and clear twice. And then their other time, they just bulldozed through it and got a free site. Well, not a free site. They had the frag, but still, they got that site by force.
Interesting. A little bit of mid-round aggression here from BLUEJAYS. At least they're considering it. It's like a double apartment setup, but I think it's more of a bait to allow for Snav to sit on Van safely. Either way, I don't even necessarily know if we're going to see that contact coming in. 30 seconds left on the clock. Bob is still leading towards his B-bomb site.
It has to be.
And the cat scale is coming through, and that's going to be where they strike.
Oh, nice spam through the smoke from Dare. So that will help delay things even further. 20 seconds left now. They're jumping onto the site, hoping to catch some bodies, but Freshy's the one catching frags. Nissim gone. Dare will get another one and a 2K for Dare. Slight will get the last onto Sadzin, and that will do it for the round. Legacy just take too long to execute.
Yeah, they do, and after all, we do get to see the potency of that little Van app setup. That's a little nifty one. I don't necessarily see that position get baited and switched as often, especially considering how few resources the B anchors usually get, but that one worked out wonderfully, and as you mentioned, I think it's that cat prong that takes forever to scale because they're trying to do it silently, but when you're throwing the con smoke and you're throwing the window smoke as well, it's got to be an idea that's going through these CT's heads, and you just got to pull the trigger, and they're going to pull the trigger again with this fast B play.
Honestly, it's been working for them, and look, they pushed them off the site. They do lose the first player, but they've got control. Oh, no, they don't. Fruitcupx through the smoke actually gets Dumao, so this is getting much hairier than Legacy would have liked. Fruitcupx keeps going. He's got the 3K. Both the players we highlighted as need to step up are doing so in the past couple of rounds. Dare in the previous, and Fruitcupx right here. Snav finds Lux, and Lato is gone.
Wow.
Quad kill from Fruitcupx.
All from Catwalk, man. No support, no flashes, nothing. Just good old-fashioned Counter-Strike there from the young gun, spamming through a couple of players on the drop-off from the apartments. Those are tough shots, and I hope we can get a replay of some of those kills because, man alive, that's exactly the kind of impact that you're hoping to get out of this guy that has been a bit of a sleeping giant for this team, pulling them back into contention when it matters most.
Absolutely. That is a big round from Fruitcupx, and Legacy were forcing up in that previous one, hoping they could find that success with the quick play, but Fruitcupx was right there to deny. When we go into round number 10, BLUEJAYS showing signs of life in a very significant way. They found the answer at that B site, which is very good news. Now they have to deny this eco round to find themselves a fourth, but Legacy are very good with the deagles, so this is certainly still within the realm of possibility. There's that smoke tossed, and you know they're trying to rotate around the map looking for an opening at this point, and they saw that smoke thrown. They say, okay, let's back off. They have a player lurking towards the ramp. That's Nissim, so I feel like they're going to regroup there and go for a hit A.
Does only have a Glock. It's just the main issue. You would have liked to maybe have a potential to walk out there, but with no weaponry and no support, it's less than ideal. But a rotation in, a little bit of an ace split on the cards here. No flashes though, so it's going to have to be some raw deagle headshots if they want a chance. And straight away, they've spotted Freshy in the middle of the open, but they're just going to try to get the bomb down. And that's huge for Legacy and in terms of scale of this round. They've already done what they have to do. Everything now is icing on the cake.
Well, looks like... Yo, Dumao hits the headshot. Needs another one to really make this possible. There it is. Dumao with 2. Finally dropped here. Lato is pinned down. Okay. For a moment, it got exciting. But Blue Jays quickly defused the situation and will do the same to the bomb as a 4th round is indeed secured. Wow, that one got a little interesting, though.
I was feeling a 3rd from him at that point. But unfortunately, not enough at the end of the day. But again, as I mentioned, bomb plant end of the game there. Everything after that is gravy. And forcing a couple of rebuys off the courtesy of the Dumao Deeg will be fantastic to have. And now a very healthy purchase into round number 11. Hot start for Legacy, but they've slowly cooled off here. Some of these calls not necessarily working out as effectively as they would have hoped. And you've definitely had a little bit of an immovable object in terms of what Fruitcupx has been able to do off the catwalk and what Freshie has been able to do over there on that A side as well. And now Slight's getting activated too.
Also, Dare's anchoring. We have to highlight that on the B site, right?
Yeah.
He's done a great job fending off Legacy after a bit of a tough start. Fruitcupx, oh, the spray goes wide, and now Nissim capitalizes on Snap afterwards. Slight through the smoke. Gets Lux, 3v3. Does he spot Nissim as well? He does, but he misses the shot, and now he could be dead. But he managed to slip away for a moment. Freshie is gone, and now he is as well. Lato taking care of both of them. That is a tough miss for Slight, as Dare is left alone.
What an awkward sequence, man. Whew.
Yeah.
Tough situation there. Right idea for both parties, but Legacy just a bit better on the execution, faster on the trigger. The bomb is dropped in apartments. Lotto should be able to scoop that one up, but it does leave the round in limbo just temporarily. As Sanson goes looking, making a lot of sound cues over with the amount of scoping done. And I think Dare has heard and at least been locked in onto this. Should be able to maybe find just that one kill, but Sanson just beat him to the punch. And he'll find that last kill. That is so unfortunate for Dare. He had that idea really in the right position there.
He really did. It felt like the way that Legacy was spread out across the map that he might be able to isolate 3 1v1s, but he just couldn't catch the player going to CT. If he does, then it's a much better opportunity. But then Sadzin closes the door in his face. 7-4 in favor of Legacy. Still a good recovery for the Blue Jays, and a 5th would make it even better. Double op coming through. Finally able to afford that. Dare's going to run that second op as he has done in the past, but Dumao finds Fruitcupx immediately, and the follow-up goes to Lato. Oh no, 5v3 in favor of Legacy in the first 15 seconds of the round spells potential doom here for Blue Jays on the round, and even more so now as Snav is their latest victim. Only one back from Dare, but he's the last one standing. Does hit the quick scope onto Lux, but eventually overloaded here as it's going to be 8-4 as we head to the halftime break. All right, we're back into it here. Second half of action. Some signs of life from the Blue Jays and positive ones as well, because Dare, Fruitcupx, and Slight are all looking fairly strong, but it's still, despite that, an 8-4 Legacy lead because of how quickly they came out of the gate to get the lead against the Blue Jays here.
Straight into the apartments for Blue Jays. And they throw an instant connector smoke as well to potentially fade some mid presence, and they will go back to clear it. That initial B hit did not actually come to fruition, but there is a gunfight available here. Dumao getting up close and personal with these dual Berettas, playing this window angle. It can be very dangerous, but he's got to get out as soon as he takes the first shot, and he can't even find one.
Oh boy. That's tough for Dumao. Fruitcupx hoping for a follow-up as well. Nissam's running out of bullets here in this magazine. Has to reload, and Snav capitalizes on that opportunity. 5v3 for the Blue Jays. Legacy reeling a little bit, but it is pistol. Couple of quick frags can turn this around exceptionally quickly, but it doesn't seem like it's happening. Luck's gone. There's Sadzine with one. Needs to get a lot more than that. With Lato supporting from market window. Sadzine working to bench, but Fruitcupx puts him down like a bad habit. Lato, last one standing, and that'll do it. Dare with a bit of BM on the end of it as well as the Blue Jays take a fifth.
Oh, there you go. A little bit of fire under the belly of Blue Jays at that point, and a bit of a shoddy setup, I will say, on that B bomb site. Don't really know what the idea was there. I mean, I guess it was just Dumao kill everyone, but sometimes that doesn't necessarily work in Counter-Strike. You need a little bit of support behind him as well, but good on Blue Jays to not necessarily overcomplicate that round there and just go through with the initial plan. Force buy up from Legacy here, though. Keep in mind, we've got a UMP from Sadzine in 2025.
Hey, look, the UMP can still work sometimes. You know, it's something.
Okay,
it's
God.
got a little bit of extra range. Oh, come on. I'm trying. 1 minute.
You know,
and
every
28
time I
seconds,
have
yeah.
someone argue against it for me, they always give me that same, like, it's not that bad reaction.
Yeah, it's hard to justify when you've got the MP9 available to you, but, you know, a little more range is available at the very least. Snav will trade out Nissam after the opening frag actually goes the way of Legacy. Problem is the B site's taken, and now Legacy are going to try and rotate in to retake the space. Luxy get blindsided here. He will, but Lato gets the trade immediately. So with 3v3 still possible for Legacy, but as it stands, positioning-wise, kit-wise, economy-wise, they say, yeah, this isn't going to happen, so they decide to back off Paladin.
Yeah, you can double dip with this. Of course, the SMG potency is always going to be a tough one to really have in the following rounds, just a nature of all the teams buying head armor. But they're still decently potent weapons that if you put in the right place and have a little bit of pistol support, can still be very dangerous. So don't rule them out of the following round, but this is exactly the second half start that you're kind of looking for from Blue Jays, where you're getting the openings to come out as soon as possible. You're simplifying the strategy and building this conditioning on the B bomb site, and already asking Legacy to start to cheat a player over or two just to start out this half. And that could really start the weaving of the tapestry from Snav here as he continues to try and claw back this lead.
Look at this aggression from Legacy, though. Sadzine with the UMP, your favorite Paladin. He's trying to make it work. Posted up there, right beyond the smoke. Oh man, Nissam's going to be under a lot of pressure here, I feel, because Blue Jays are leaning pretty heavily into these apartments. We'll see if Nissam realizes it or calls for reinforcements. As it stands, though, no one is headed in this direction, and including the Blue Jays, actually, because they've kind of fallen off of it a little bit. Dare looking into underpass, and perhaps going to be a rotation to the A site. There's still a lot of time left on the clock, Paladin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bomb is in that limbo position, as you mentioned. But freshly finding two, that should simplify things, you'd like to think. But they've seen it up. They've heard another shot go off on that B bomb site. And now that Fruitcupx has opened up the A side, it's a pretty simple idea from there. Dare spams one through. And Lux now left up in a 1v4. If he can get anything, that would be a minor miracle. And he doesn't. So Dare with the finishing blow. And Blue Jays now bring it within one. One thing to note, though, that I noticed with the roles, I did mention how Lotto was that B anchor. It looks like they moved him off. It looks like they're playing him more on that A side, and Nissim's now the hard anchor, which, honestly, I'll be honest, I really like. I really want Lotto to be in more engaging positions, and I think the A side would be a much better position for him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes now that the guns are out, right? And if he still stays there, it looks like, yeah, it is actually going to happen here. The shift has happened for the gun round. Look at this aggression, though, from Legacy. Slight with a beautiful shot onto Lux. That's going to help things here for the Blue Jays. 5v4. Winning this round would be a big step towards potentially upsetting Legacy here on this map, but Lato gets right on back to it with that frag on Freshie, delivering, as you stated, Paladin, on this A site in a more prominent position to gain engagements. Bomb gonna get planted here, and Sadzine does get one before it gets planted down to dirt, giving an advantage only briefly, though. Slight is looking very good.
Yeah, very sharp on that AWP, and now it's up to the CT attack from the spawn side. Dumao has found one to cut it back. The jump up from Sadzin still finds a kill. It leaves it all to Slight, and he can't get that gun cocked back. It's the op on op, head-to-head, 6 kills between them, but Legacy come out the better.
That was so nice from Slight, though, throughout the entirety of the round. You know, it felt like he was keeping it on a knife's edge with the frags he was getting. As soon as Legacy brought something, he had the answer, it seemed, and it started with him with that opening frag. Unfortunately, no one else really chimes in on the Blue Jays side, and Slight is left in a tough spot that he can't fight himself out of. So there's Legacy holding on to their lead for now. 9-7. It was an expensive round for them. You can kind of see that in the buy-up, right? They had to settle for an MP9 instead of having an M4. Actually, outside of that, it's pretty good, but I mean, a little limitation. Wouldn't say much.
Yeah, at least it's your B anchor having the MP9, right?
Exactly, which is perfectly serviceable.
Ooh, underpass aggression there for Lux initially, but doesn't want anything to do with Snav or anything potentially fighting from mid as well. So he backs away. Nissim getting a little frisky in the top of apartments. I don't love the spam, but won't be punished. Should still be able to stick around. And just a very methodical clearing of middle here from the Blue Jays. They finally find their way to scale out. Lux wants to get a little bit of information, but doesn't really have that support to engage safely.
Luxy still gets it. Even though it's a tough fight. Finds the headshot onto Slight. Nade goes into the smoke. Lux takes a little bit of damage from that, but already looking pretty good. And even better now as I think a leg shot comes through from the op of Sadzine onto Fruitcupx. There's that boost into window. Silently done. Lux is waiting for it, though. This could be a bit of a meat grinder for the Blue Jays, but it isn't. Ooh. Snap hits an important shot. 4v4. Great trade from Dumao, is putting pressure from Cat now, but he slips into ladder.
And now he wants to fight even more. Completely aware of the possibility that they've wrapped into spawn, but now Snav is on a bit of a timing here. This Sim's on an island with this not Mac, had the MP9, and he gets caught out by Snav. That's a huge timing to find. Fruitcupx has another chance as well, but can't convert, and now it's all up to Dumao. Has to hit this shot on the cross, but can't do it, so instead he's got to wait back for the retake as the bomb hits the floor.
Sadzine's got the angle, he's got the lineup here. Doesn't hit the shot, though. Snav slips past him. So now they have to continue fighting, and this gets a little more problematic. Freshie, frag onto one, trade for Lato, but we're down to a 1v1. Snav, who loves playing Mirage, has the 3K, looking for the 4th, and finds it. The Blue Jays are right back on the board, bringing it to within 1.
And that's all the captain, man. He calls around himself there. Really proactive in his CT wrap, and completely blindsides Nissim. And right after that, into the post plant as well, finding so many great angles to play off of his teammates taking first contact, and he finds every kill necessary. Attack timeout by Blue Jays, immediately putting the pressure on Legacy, and I mean, you can't buy here if you're the CT side. You've got to give a little bit of way back, and I think we've got ourselves a tie game written all over it.
Yeah, feels like it, or might see a little bit more of an investment from Legacy. We'll see. They do have the FAMAS up in Lux's hands, but it could just be a hero FAMAS, which we don't say often. Usually it's the hero M4 or the hero
That's
AK.
not really much of a hero, is it?
Yeah, not so much.
More of a
buff.
sidekick?
Yeah.
Sidekick? I'd say it's like a good Robin, maybe?
Yeah.
It's no Batman.
It's the sidekick FAMAS. Yeah, there you go. It doesn't have the same ring to it, but
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Well, we go into it. Slight and Dare already up, Cat. Look at this posturing. I mean, maybe the FAMAS can do damage here. Okay, it can. Lux survives, might throw that to his teammate. Dumao's the one he'd probably want to target for that FAMAS because he's got the armor as well. They're just going to boost up. Oh, the aggression here from Lux. I love it. Slight slips into ladder. There's 3 players here. They don't even know it. Slight does go down. Trades come through somewhere else, and it will be okay for Blue Jays. They brought it back down to a 3v3, and they know there are a couple of players stuck in ladder room.
How have they gotten out of that with just a 1-for-1 is beyond me. And look, if you're Legacy, you're happy with the results as well. You got an AWP in your hands. You got to keep the FAMAS. You could save both of these weapons and be happy with how your economy will look in the following. But Blue Jays dodging a bullet there. Could have been absolute calamity to lose to a purchase at a position like that, no less. Here's a re-clear from the back 10. Freshie, and it goes down. And keep in mind here that the finances aren't the greatest here for the Blue Jays, so losing all these bodies is not necessarily beneficial to them.
Yeah, and Fruitcup's kind of dead, yeah. He's not going to survive.
Very dead.
He was going down to that bomb or someone's rifle. So all the Blue Jays fall, and as you aptly mentioned, their economy was not in a great spot. So they're going to be in rough shape here, at least in terms of money. I think they'll have a decent buy-up regardless. Yeah, they're going to have the AKs across the board, but the fact of the matter is they lose this round, that's when the trouble begins. Another great thing for Legacy in that round is they get the free op upgrade, right? Slight was one of their victims. He was in that ladder room brawl with 3 players just stuck in the smoke. But yeah, that means the economy is going to be much better for the Legacy side versus Blue Jays. So a round victory here for Legacy could yield a lot more.
Absolutely. And look at this. $0 on 3 of these players for the Blue Jays. Near $0 for 2 more of them. So sweet round on the cards here at 9 apiece. Molotov straight into the A main side of things, and 5 players leading towards this A bomb side. Are we looking at just a raw execute early on? Is the real question, and how equipped are Legacy to deal with an execution like this?
Looks like they fell off as soon as that smoke was thrown. In fact, the smoke may have saved Legacy the trouble of dealing with that all-out push towards the A site. Lato. Went to the Galil. Oh, he's trying to block that smoke. What a nice block it was, too. That's going to leave a gap on the right side.
That's nice.
Yeah. Lato looking for targets over at Palace. 1:10 on the clock. Blue Jays still want to go pretty early on in this round, but Lato is going to be in a spot they're not going to expect. Yep, he's there. He doesn't get anything just yet and loses Dumao on the site, but this still could get interesting here, Paladin. Oh, it definitely does.
Big kill. Big kill from Lux, and now Lato can chime in as well. Snav and Dare in the 2v3. Real requirement here for them to convert. At least they get the bomb down, but how do they navigate themselves out of this one is the real question on everyone's minds. Taking their time now, the CTs bunched up over towards the connector and still have ample smokes to cordon off angles here and really neutralize where these T-sided players could be playing from. Dare's got to take first contact, though. He's got to find a way to bite off one of these CTs, and it's actually Snav to take first contact, and the lineup is there for Dare. All of a sudden, it's on Sadzi. He switches over to the USP, and now he's got to find Snav. He knows exactly where he is, and he can't connect the final bullet. 3 HP is all Snav needs, and they claim the lead, Blue Jays.
All right, Dare. Top of the scoreboard now with 17 frags. He is answering the call and then some. You know, like we called him out at the beginning of the match, and he said, okay. I'm going to go ahead and have a pretty strong game here on Mirage. What a play. That was a huge advantage for Legacy, and the Blue Jays deleted it in less than a second. Crazy stuff. Blue Jays will obviously have to face off against the buyout for Legacy here again because there were some saved guns from the couple of rounds ago that let Legacy, you know, have that little buy-up they had. But 4 M4s and an op.
They're completely silent here. Blue Jays. Snav has gotten all the way up to connector, and they had this idea for Lotto to fight an underpass, and sorry, that should be Dumao. My fault there. But Sanzin punishes a little bit of aggression, and Dumao will find another. So all of that shenanigan over there in the connector gets dealt with, and Legacy have been dealt a freebie as far as round number 20 is concerned.
Yeah, what a surprise after what we saw in the previous round for it to end up this way. And again, the problem for the Blue Jays and their economy did not really end in that previous round, right? Because they lost so many bodies, so they're back to the same kind of money situation. And this next round will probably be tough for them to buy up in. There's Lux finding Fruitcupx and Freshies all the way on the other side of the map. 44 seconds left for him to try and find something. Looking around, AK grabbed by Duval. He's trying to attract attention here. Actually loses his life. Sad scene, didn't connect on it either. I think that's what Dumal was hoping for. 28 seconds left. Now Freshie thinking, okay, should I try for this? Did I just save the M4? Looks like he wants to give it a shot, but that Molotov, will that deter him? No, he walks right through it. Freshie, you madman. Nade's gonna get tossed onto Lux. 13 seconds left now, and there he goes. Freshie gone. And unfortunately for him, the loss bonus isn't that great either. So the save might not have been a bad decision, but he decides he wants to try and do some damage to the economy of Legacy, and it really just doesn't happen that much.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a T molly throw, not a CT molly, where you probably would have taken 20 damage tops instead of like 80. So unfortunate there for Freshie. I like the idea, but we still stay tied at 10s here now. Tack timeout for the Blue Jays as they realize we've lost a ton of bodies over these last few rounds. Double eco territory. And that could mean what? Legacy potentially getting themselves 12 rounds if they can navigate this anti-force buy. But the Blue Jays haven't completely invested just yet. Timer continues to tick down, and maybe they're just going to go for an all-out Glock purchase and try to purchase in round number 22. I don't know if I love that.
Yeah, it's not that great, right? $1,900 loss bonus coming through. The force buy might have been a better call.
It's got to be Galil's at that point. Which, like, do you want that?
I think you're right. Probably should have pulled the trigger here on the force buy. Instead, the Blue Jays only have the lone deagle and no utility, no body armor. Nothing but a hope and a prayer that the aim will deliver them something here in this round. Fruitcupx at least gets the information on the player ticket, but I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion that there'll be someone ticket, so I don't know how valuable that information is. And there's a nade that sails in, misses the mark, because it was for a Tetris player who no one was there yet. Blue Jays just stalling out right now. And we'll eventually say, okay, well, let's rotate back towards the B site and give that a try. The thing is, the bomb's not coming with them. So I'm not sure what the idea is here, or if it's even going to be a B play. It might just be a pincer towards the A site, or they're going to try to get to the B site, draw all the attention there, and get a bomb plant A.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, John. I mean, at this point, the bomb plant is so important to the success of Blue Jays in the following. If they can get that bomb plant, that's round one in their eyes. But there is a player on the bomb site. Lotto is there, and so they don't get that plant that they're looking for. And I mean, look at the situation because of that. Fruitcupx on 2,900, Snav and I believe Dare also on 3,000 or around that mark. So you're gonna get some Galils on the board. You'll get an AK, a couple of AKs with no utility, and Fruitcupx on a deagle. If this is what they're going to use to defend their honor, they're going to need a lot out of just these rifles from a fragging perspective, because you certainly don't have enough utility to draw up a crazy default.
No, and you can't think about faking. You can't really think about much of anything except for kind of going for those duels and getting an execute. And if you can, Sadzine opens it up immediately with the frag on Dare, who was trying to just blitz his way up Cat. That didn't work. Oh no! Lux with the headshot from stairs onto Snav, who was just trying to fade away after throwing some util. That is so tough for the Blue Jays in a round that was already trending against them. Now they have a 5v3 to deal with and no map control at all.
I think you could just call a save here. I know that sounds crazy, and there's just still a minute 10 on the clock.
Yeah.
But that's got to be your only answer now. You've gone all in here. You want to defend against map point in the following. Snav, Dare, they can buy Mac 10s maybe. But I think this all ties back into what we were saying before, that maybe they should have just fully invested, so you didn't have to go for these insane plays where we're dry walking out main, we're trying to charge up the catwalk at a minute 30. Like, these are very audacious maneuvers, and maneuvers that Legacy have been prepared for so far in this CT half.
Yeah, that's why we were advocating so much for that force buy in the previous round, because you force up then, you give yourself a good shot at maybe making something happen, you hurt the economy or something. And then, yeah, sure, you might have to go for Nico in the follow-up round, but you'll have a buy up at 12. Instead, now they have to save here. And yes, they'll still have a buy up at 12, but it won't be as nice as it perhaps could have been. I don't know. It also impacts the momentum of the match too, right? It's not just about the economy. This is tough for the Blue Jays now, but they're far from out of it. It's not like they're down 12-4 or something. They're at 12-10. There's still 2 rounds left potentially to play here in regulation.
Well then, what is the purchase around them? Tech 9 for Snav, and it could be a Mac 10 there for Dare if he wants it. Deagle also an option, but they opted for the Tech 9. I see those two Duke pistols bought up, but I think B-Pop, this is a plausible idea. A raw A execution, get those Tech 9s nice up and close. You want to get these guys activated and give space to the 3 remaining riflers that are involved. And if they could do that, and maybe they get a kill, they've done their job. But yeah, you're really looking at those men right there, Fruitcupx, Slight, and Freshie, who have largely been the driving factor of this game, bar Dare, of course, who has also had some significant impact. But if you're looking towards quote-unquote impact players, Fruitcupx and Slight would definitely be the first name on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, no question. Dare's had his moments. He's had a couple of 3Ks, right? One on the B side and one on A, I think on opposite sides of the map. But still, like, that really has helped propel Blue Jays forward at key times. But I agree with you. Fruitcupx and Slight have been coming out with those openers, those moments where you feel like, yes, things are starting to shift. They've been the ones at the tip of the spear. So we go into round number 23. Blue Jays obviously need this one, otherwise we're going to map number 2 and they will be at a disadvantage. All right, we go into it. Blue Jays leaning towards the B apartments, it seems, and a couple of players into mid. The bomb dropped there as well. The lurk is Fruitcupx at the A site. Not a bad setup. Trying to take their time here, and it looks like they want to pincer into mid from underpass and top mid.
Reminds me a lot of their pistol round, but Lux and Sadzine, oh my goodness, a flurry of frags for the 2 players on that Legacy side, and this mid control has been shut down. Fruitcupx, that lone lurk that we mentioned prior, has been smoked off and denied any sign of access into this A site. And Snav will hunker down through the main side of things, but this one should be wraps. What a bounce back here from Legacy after getting pushed round in and round out. And unless Snav can catch a little bit of a timing, he's spotted ahead and he's found a kill. All of a sudden, things maybe have opened up here. Nope, never mind.
Really.
Back it up.
It was close, it was close, but Snav unfortunately gets caught out and just painted into a corner. by Lux, and it will end with Sadzine finding the op frag onto Fruitcupx. 13-10 for Legacy. Look at those numbers for Lux and Lato. 100 plus ADR on both players. 21 for Lux, 20 for Lato. And honestly, it's, you know, that triple threat of Lato, Lux, and Dumao that comes through. You know, we hyped them
I actually think that they fall apart in pressure situations. And I think Blue Jays can potentially rise out of that. So if you can make these guys uncomfortable and get through that first layer of game planning that Legacy have on offer, this is still absolutely up in the air. And that's I think what makes this matchup exciting is that both of these rosters are kind of in different spots right now. One expected to win and honestly expected to just take the EPL spot, and the other still that plucky underdog that can really punch above their weight when called upon.
All right, we're getting into it here. Blue Jays up against Legacy on Ancient. Slight going to be tapping away with the Glock. And they're already trying to push into this B site. Lux and Dumao putting pressure on from mid, and Lato with the dualies will do the job. Lux onto Fruitcupx, looking good for Legacy so far. Let's see if Freshie can turn that around. He does get a couple, but it is still a man advantage in favor of Legacy, although Lato does fall to Snap's Glock. So now even numbers. Can Legacy get back into the site, or have Blue Jays found a way to victory? They know that both players are here over in Cave. Snav waiting with Dare, and finally, nope, actually I thought they were going to plant it there, but they keep pulling off of it.
Oh, the third fake.
My
Still
goodness.
not baiting out Sadzin. And finally, Sadzin will swing out. The significant damage done to Nissim as well. And I mean, they've got so much time to continue to just try to fake this plant, but this time, Dare commits. And now all the pressure is put onto the CT. Sadzin and Nissim cornered into the cave, have to fight tooth and nail, and finally Dare hits the deck. It's all up to the captain of Snav. The Glock spray goes awry, and Sadzin capitalizes at the tail end. 3 kills for the Opper as Legacy find themselves that first round.
That is such a good job from Sadzin to close the gap and the angles and get that first one on the attempted retake, and then the follow-up as well to get away. He just slips away in towards long B, which is best case scenario, because then, although the last two players were very low, having to isolate the fights and flick your crosshair that far across the screen is exceptionally difficult. And well, you saw I couldn't even get one in that 1v2, and Legacy do indeed, after the strong start, finish off the pistol round and get the 1-0 lead. Timeout going to be called by the Blue Jays. And yeah, I just realized before, Paladin, that I was mentioning that Blue Jays want to get into a top 4 spot. What I meant was top 3, because they're actually, if they lose here, I believe they'll be in 4th.
Right, yeah, they will be in 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So, we're actually, yeah, they will. You know, sometimes the playoff lower bracket placings really throws me off.
Yeah,
but,
same.
Yeah, top 4 would be tough for them, especially when you think about their aspirations to
And they were top
attend.
2 in the season, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it would be nice for them to find extra results to go beyond their previous season's results, but it's always going to be stiff competition when you look at the top end of this league. You don't even have the top 3 or 4 in North America outright, and even still, there's that stiff competition. That kind of tells you how North America has improved season on season now. But for Blue Jays, they never wanted it the easy way. These guys have always done it the hard way in a lot of ways. And they'll do it again with this force buy here. Snav trying to creep up the lane and finds a little bit of an opening, but it's actually the A bomb site that's under question.
Okay. Bomb site, indeed, in a bit of trouble. So is the B site. Fruitcupx gets that headshot onto Lux. Dare manages to find all the space over towards A, and this is not great for Legacy. Sadzine at 1 HP. Lato and Dumao do have almost full health across them. Oh my goodness, Sadzine, how do you win that fight? How do you win that fight with one singular point of health? Now the Blue Jays are being pushed back a little bit, although the A site has been cleared out by, who is that? That's Dare. The thing is, they're probably not going to realize that Lato's lurking around over in the catacombs.
Yeah, that's the real snake in the grass here for the Blue Jays to deal with. And if you're Dare in this situation, you've got to hold off players from every angle. And he will. He'll sneak back out up through the donut, and he nails the shot onto Lotto. All of a sudden, this round is really under threat for Legacy. It's got to be up to Dumao here on the late mid-wrap, and he's found actually the high HP bar. It's all up to Fruitcupx on 1 HP as well. 2 players on 1 health, and Dumao, the quote-unquote healthy player of the round, will close it out. Another tight one here to start out Ancient. And look, John, with how close that one got, I don't mind a double dip again from Blue Jays if they think about it.
I do agree. You know, we've seen Force Buys come through a lot more frequently as CS2 has progressed in its age since its release, and I don't think that it's going to be out of the question here, Blue Jays. Yeah, there you go. Going to be 3 Galils, an AK, and a Tech 9. Over on the Legacy side, you know, their buy-up isn't great. As you alluded to, 3 players had to buy up into this round, 1 settling for a FAMAS, and then there's the Galil on the other side that was picked up and carried through. So we'll see how this goes. Blue Jays decide to take the space towards bottom of ramp. Utility is not good for the Blue Jays. That's the only problem here, and why I would have expected maybe a Mac 10 in the mix. So now they have to take the dry fights, and it works, you know, they get 1, but that is actually with the 1 piece of utility they had. Lato pops off for a couple. Snav and Fruitcupx make it work for 2, though. Lux and Nissim, last 2 standing. Lux just has to spam it. Oh my goodness, Fruitcupx. Another singular point of health, and he is the last one standing. Uh-oh. Fruitcupx goes into the back lines of the B site, trying to slip towards CT spawn, and he does achieve that. The problem is just that 1 point of health. No kit, that is true.
That could be a big indicator if Fruitcupx can somehow play positioning correctly here. And he finds a first kill, puts all the pressure back up to Lux, but Lux has picked up a kit. And that could be everything. The Molly just goes a little deep, and it gives just enough time for Lux to get it at the tail end there. How many rounds are going to be down to slivers of HP here, John?
That's insane that Fruitcupx gets both. They lose the round, but crazy. Look at that. Just had to pull up his crosshair a little bit, and another bullet would have done the job. But in the end, it's just a little wide, and it's an incendiary, right? If that's a Molotov, he
it's
wins
over.
It. Yep, that's the difference. Crazy margins right now in these first 3 rounds. This is when you see a 3-0. Like we were talking about in the previous map, 3-0, it was not looking good for Blue Jays because of the way they were losing the rounds. This time, it's very deceptive because the Blue Jays have been in absolutely every single one, and it's been down to 1v1s almost every round.
They've got the better buy here, I'd argue, as well.
Yeah.
Max loss at a bomb plant. All of a sudden, Legacy caught between a rock and a hard place. And look at this, front jack control already established for the T side. Great position to have. With their limited utility, you gotta take every bit of map control you can get. Flash out for Dare, and he'll be able to scale through mid. Very turtled up CT setup here for the Legacy side. Dry of information, and a lot of room for Blue Jays to play with in this early round.
Lato's waiting in cave. He's got support as well. Smoke actually helps him a lot, and that's thrown by the Blue Jays. Yeah, Lato. Oh no, that was their smoke. Yeah, that's right.
That's the CT smoke.
It's a really good smoke. Very intelligent. Lato working the edge of it. 5v3 in favor of Legacy off of that smoke. Brilliant stuff. Another smoke going to come in. This time it's for the T's, and it will go a little deeper into that cave, so it'll make life difficult for Legacy here. And that could open up the possibility of a bomb plant, but some frags are going to have to come through as well. There's the first. They're finding that. Slight with the spam, but they overlook Lux at long B, and he will get maybe all of them. And indeed, that is the case. 3K for Lux, and 4-0 for Legacy. One of the first rounds they've had this many bodies standing.
And all of a sudden, all that hard work of keeping it a close game and bringing it down to these 1v1, 1v2 scenarios, all that work is gone. It's into dust. As Lux just rips away all that potential momentum that could have been built up by the T side. Huge work there, and huge work done by Lotto and Dumao in that cave. Crafty smoke leading to a quick double, and sometimes you just need one of those little gimmicky plays to get your foot in the door. And that's all you need. Blue Jays now all of a sudden in a sticky situation, but carving their way back with Dare's entry in middle. That might change things.
Just a hero AK. Oh, man, he almost had a second. That could have made things even more interesting for the Blue Jays. That being said, there are guns down. A couple of AKs picked up off the ground by Freshie and Snav. One of those was Dare's. The other one was picked up by Legacy a little while ago. Freshie going into Donut. Nissim's here, and he's in a bit of trouble. He has to play this right. Will they overlook him? No. Freshie and Snav are both looking for this. Does he get it? No. Freshie does close him out, and we'll get the follow-up as well. Now we have a 3v2. Lato and Dumao need to get something going here. Lato's throwing off some shots here towards A main, but as it stands, he's smoked off.
I think you have to save. I know that sounds crazy, but like, it's a tough call to make. You've still got this flank brewing from Dumao, so hopefully you're expecting that to net you something. But the longer this takes, and what clearly he won't find anything here to begin with, that's where you've got to just say, let's cut our losses and head for the hills. And I take it all back. All that good work could be right back into play here.
Oh, they could catch off Freshie going into CT. There it is. They still have to get the two Donut players. And wow, what a shot from Dumao. A ripper of a shot. And he gets the last two. Dumao again. 3K coming through. 5-0 in favor of Legacy. Back-to-back 3Ks. One from Lux. That one from Dumao. And Legacy... I mean, look, I kind of understood where you were going with it, Paladin, right? Given the positioning, the situation economically, a save wouldn't have been out of the question. But at the very last moment, they pull the trigger and say, you know what? We're trying for this. Let's see if it can happen. And Dumao does absolutely everything. What a play.
Making me look like I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Not at all.
That is ballsy. That is a ballsy call from Dumao, and it nets them a lot. Look at this push down from Lux now, punishing the boosted AWP as well. But that was through the smoke. They had no idea Fruitcupx could also be there. Luckily, pulls down the damage just slightly, but at the end of the day, it's still a 4v3 for the CT side. Blue Jays would have wanted a ton of these rounds back, man. It's just brutal the way they've lost some of these.
No, yeah, I agree with you. 4 out of the 5 could have gone their way. And that is a bitter pill to swallow if you're a Blue Jays fan or if you're on the Blue Jays. But right here, it's still not out of the realm of possibility. Just the fact that they lose those first 2 bodies already off the push from Lux is difficult to get back from. Nice shot from Dare. Dumao goes through the Molotov to take the fight. Won't get traded either. Man! What? He has just been so good in these duels. In the situations where it feels like he should be traded, he's just got this incredible crosshair placement and recovery. Leaving Fruitcupx now in a 3v1, and I don't know if they know that Fruitcupx here. They will be aware of it as that smoke is tossed. He's probably dead before he plants. Yeah. Wow. This is unfortunate for Blue Jays. It really is.
I think you put it brilliantly there. The crosshair placement and the recovery, especially from Dumao, is so elite. The fact that he's able to get 2 out of that situation, and you just talk about the multi-kill potential out of this guy.
Yeah.
He is the hero for this Legacy roster. If you had to point to the true star, it is that guy. And sometimes I do feel like he can push the issue, but when he's in his element, it feels very few riflers in the Americas region can stick it up to him and potentially fight back. This time, though, it's Fresh and Dare to respond in kind. Snav as well there, punishing the cave aggression, and something to smile about for Blue Jays. Surely this is the one of them that they convert.
I don't know. We'll see. Sadzine gets an 8 frag onto Freshie. I think that Legacy got caught a little bit telegraphing themselves in this round because they continually have done that, pushing towards mid, a couple of players, and then the cave push after that, and Blue Jays were waiting for it. So that's something. The round is not over yet because look who's still alive. Sadzine actually gets that frag, and Dumao is trying to lock down the player on site. Good peek from Snap to take care of Sadzine, but they've still got Dumao to deal with, and he throws, actually it was Sadzine that threw a flashbang before he died for Dumao. Dumao's taking this. He doesn't know Snap is here. He doesn't know Snap's that close, and Snap will win the duel with 4 HP left. He almost lost it. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. That is ridiculous there. I mean, if Snap doesn't even win that fight, that's where you just kick yourself to no end. What a nade. I mean, that nade wasn't even destined for a body. He just wanted to pop that smoke open. So many things going in the way of Legacy in these crunch time scenarios.
I'm a little shocked Legacy don't force here, given the way this is
Look,
gone.
they've got single loss, right? So I don't knock it against them, considering they've got a couple of players that are still in a good territory. I'm glad that they're not being complacent with the amount of rounds that they've won here. They understand that it's been a close game, and hold the phone. Nissim's got it to mid, and so is Lux. How aware are there is the second player? Very aware. Dare clears it out, and that should be Mischief managed.
Unless they go A. If they go A, they're in trouble, because there's a couple of bodies here. Sadzin's got the M4. There's actually a late purchase that came through their Paladin, about like 10 seconds into the round, I think is the very last moment to buy up. They went back, it was Sadzin who went back to get an M4 in his hands. So they had a couple of rifles briefly. Of course, one was shot down. Lato, the only one left here on A with the USP. This is the right call for the Blue Jays now. There it is. Yeah, M4 is just going to be safe. Sadzin wants nothing to do with this, and it will be a second for the Blue Jays.
There you go. Unfortunately, nothing comes for free. They would have loved to get that third round, considering a force buy on the cards, but that not being there does mean that they're going to be right up against another buy in just a couple seconds' time. It's nice to just see that they're finally reading some of these situations and they're not letting it blow out of proportion. That Nissim flank doesn't lead to 2 or 3 kills, it only leads to 1. The A play dealt with. Things like that, I mean, you could say for those first 6 rounds, never really had that going in their way at all.
Kind of reminiscent of how Mirage went here, with Legacy quite dominant in the early goings and Blue Jays recovering after a little while. But they're going to need to find this third to really call it a recovery. Legacy will be back to the buy-up. They haven't had the op yet, by the way. This is all rifle work that has been doing this for Legacy, as far as I can remember. Yes, that scene's been on the rifle, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah. I mean, he's barely been opping, which is kind of bizarre. But frankly, he's not had to put himself in positions to op on a regular basis. It's an all-out A aggression here, though. Nissim now up to bat, no molly deep. They are absolutely overlooking him. But the question is, how many can he get? He's getting flanked from the other side, and he can't actually pull the trigger. The flash is wonderful there from Blue Jays, and all of a sudden, it puts so much pressure on the Legacy guys to swing back this into their favor. Bomb hasn't gone down, though. They go charging through. Dumal's on the A bomb side, and he still finds a kill. 3v3 now, and soon the smokes are going to start to dissipate. They're going to have to still find a way to win these gun duels and get the bomb down. How do they do that?
They're kind of hemmed in here, right? The Blue Jays, they have to fight their way out of it. Snav gets an important one onto Dumal, but they still need follow-up damage because Snav is now low and Freshy hovering around the half health mark. What do they do? Not to mention the bomb isn't in their possession right now. Ooh, they slid the fight towards CT. I thought they had it, but no. Lato will get the headshot onto Freshy to keep it at even numbers now. Oh, the follow-up. No way. No way. That's crazy. I thought Snav getting that frag would allow them the space they needed to recover, but no. Legacy still keep them hemmed in. By the way, I have to highlight again, that flashbang was quite brilliant there by the Blue Jays, because Nissim would have been able to have his way with the players that were in front of him, but because the flash is thrown, he doesn't have visibility, and that's it. Unfortunately for the Blue Jays, despite all that effort, it's for naught.
Wow, man. And it's the initiative there from Dumal to go charging through that smoke, and just finding that one kill completely throws Blue Jays in a disarray, right? Because your game plan of, okay, we're going to plant on default, we're going to move back in a main and cave and play the post plant safely, especially because since we're in a man advantage situation, there's no way they're going to consider the retake in that circumstance. But now that they're in the 3v3, no chance for those smokes to stay up for as long as they do. the Blue Jays are caught completely in no man's land, having to take some difficult duels. That's where Lado can really play to his own pace of the game, plays around those donut smokes very well. And Slight can't catch a break, man. 1-8 to start out this game after what was a pretty effective and impactful Mirage.
Yep. I also want to highlight the smoke that, like, okay, we'll get back to it. Oh, no! What a collapse here on towards those B double doors by Legacy. They combo with Dumao and Lato getting 3. Freshie and Dare are the last 2 standing. They will find an A site, probably a plant as well if they use the utility correctly here. I say that, but they left Donut open, so now the plant becomes more difficult. Thing is, what can they really do up against these 5 Legacy players? Freshie. Flashbang thrown. They only got 1 piece of util left, and they've got a flank coming in from A main. This one just has the peek and it's done. There we go. 19 HP. There it is.
All good. Dumao's there.
Look, I wanted to highlight one thing from not this round, but the previous one, Paladin. It's the smoke that Legacy throws onto the site itself, right? Because they know the CT smoke is there, then they throw one on the site, which allows Dumao to peek out really aggressively and only get spotted by someone if they're directly on the site, which is where he's trying to engage. It's a little detail, but it's a great one because it gives a little bit of a safety zone for that player to try and bring the round back.
And actually, it helps with the potential, like, you know, that back default angle is so powerful for the CTs, but it constantly gets mollied off. A little bit of that edge of the smoke being there completely dissipates it. So even if they wanted to try to Molotov that angle off, there were still issues at hand for them. So yeah, it's a great detail to point out there, John. At this point now, these details are all compounding onto the Blue Jays side. It doesn't feel like they've been able to catch a break, but this is definitely one that they can try to run away with, at least temporarily. It gets them the bomb plant, but Nissim still finds a very important kill. This 3v4 is still a difficult one for Blue Jays to convert, but a chance nonetheless.
Okay, now it becomes more... Oh, no.
Never mind.
As soon as Freshie gets that, Lux and Dumao delete 2, and then Dumao closes it out. He has been absolutely untouchable, it seems, here on Ancient. 2K for him, multiple multi-kill rounds, 9-2 for Legacy. They are starting to pull away with this one in a significant fashion. At least Blue Jays get the bomb plant right. It'll be a buy-up in the next round, the last one of the half. But if Legacy gets a 10 here, I don't know if I see a path back in for the Blue Jays.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I gotta agree with you there.
Yeah. It's already tough.
Yeah. I mean, in this day and age of Ancient, it's not acceptable to have only 3 rounds. Oh, and that nade combo, man. Beautiful work there between Nissim and Lux. Finding just the touchdown onto Slight, bringing Dare down to just 20 HP. This is insane. All of a sudden, the Blue Jays, minute 20 on the clock, they're stuck in spawn.
I think the biggest problem for the Blue Jays is that lack of mid control in pretty much every single round. They haven't been able to crack through Legacy, aside from one round very early on in the half where they got a couple of frags there and were reading that push from Legacy when I mentioned that Legacy was telegraphing what they were about to do based on their previous rounds. Outside of that, the only space they've really gained is into the A site, and then Legacy gets these really solid retakes, and Blue Jays just don't have much of an answer. Lux is a little exposed here. Okay, he will get dropped, but Lato's right there to get the trade. That being said, oh my goodness, Dumao's gonna miss the shot. He fades away, but can't get away. Dare drops in the dirt with the offsets. He's waiting for the insta trade. Very close round here, 2v2. The Blue Jays decide to back off of the B site, and that is the right call. There's no one over on A. But it's a long run for the bomb carrier.
Dare's, he's got to go all the way
24 seconds
through the spawn, and I don't necessarily like that. I think he should still be fine, especially if Nissim gets caught out here, and he does.
Right.
Great work there from Freshie to cut off the rotation. Thrusts Sadzin into a very difficult 1v2. Switches over to the Tech 9, wants to potentially flash through this. No, he doesn't. He tries to spam through the smoke instead, just off the mark. And eventually he'll run out of bullets. He'll absolutely go for this, but as this time continues to expire and Dare getting frisky around this smoke. This should be a teed up third round for the Blue Jays at the very least. And there it is. Crossfire is stellar, and Blue Jays have at least something to write home about at the tail end. We'll take a little bit of a break, and we'll see if they've got just a little bit of gas left in the tank.
All right, we're into the second half. You might be looking at 9-3 and say, wow, Legacy were dominant. Yeah, in a couple of rounds, but the other ones were insanely close. I think it was 3 or 4 1v1 situations or close to it that Legacy came out on top, and Blue Jays, in one of those, it was a one-man advantage that they let slip away on that A site. So we'll see if the Blue Jays can recover here. But losing those types of rounds is also very difficult on your mental.
Absolutely, and we'll see if they've got that mental locked and loaded as Fruitcupx goes 1 for 1 and Nissim switches over to the P250. Brilliant work there from your A lurker, and Lux continues to compound the pain. 1v4 now needed for Blue Jays and Dare. And I don't necessarily know if this one's on the cards. Another smoke to boot to push him away. He's just going to go charging through, spamming those dual Berettas, but Lux will capitalize, and it feels like we're sensing the beginning of the end of Blue Jays in Season 49.
Yeah, not looking too great for them, having lost this pistol round. They're going to force up, right? You think, to get an 11th? Or are they...
Man.
It's tough. It's tough, because if you do, then you can't buy, and you lose in this one, then you can't buy in the next, and it's 12-3. So I guess I understand going for the eco to give yourself the best shot with a rifle round, right?
Yeah, I think in this situation, you can pick either solution, and it's still a less than ideal scenario either way. So we'll see what they can get done. 3 players spotted by Nissim, but he's still gung-ho about fighting. Finds one, pushes away the other 2. And Lotto's found a little bit of a barrel. He's understanding what's going on there. That the Zeus is around the corner. And Slight can't connect, as he hasn't for most of this map, unfortunately. It's all up to Snab and Freshie to at least find one rebuy out of the tees, but Nissim should be fine as players circle around the red room. And Lotto will close it out. 3 kills on that MP7, and just 2 rounds away now.
This is it. This is it for the Blue Jays right here. You win this round, you got something. Something to grasp hold of in your attempt to pull this one back. You lose it, it's done. Nothing more that can likely come through. A timeout going to be called here. This is a technical timeout. I wonder what the issue is. Let's see if we have any information on this, Paladin.
I don't necessarily know.
Oh, some lag, apparently, for Legacy.
Oh.
Yeah. Little bit of lag.
Call that right now. I mean...
Well, you want to give yourself the best chance of winning even if you're up by 11-3, right?
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. You know me, John. I don't want tech timeouts. I think they're dumb.
No, they're important. They're important.
They're very important. I hate to say they are very important. I need to get the record straight that was a joke.
I understand the dislike because they do cause some substantial delays sometimes. But this time we're okay. It's already done. Very short. Tactical timeout called here for Legacy afterwards to talk things over because you are not allowed to discuss during tech timeouts. So now they're going to talk about things and say, okay, how do we get this next round? How do we close the door right here in the faces of Blue Jays? Sadzin's got the op already. 3 Galils and an AK for Lux. So only 1 AK available to them. And on the other side, Fruitcupx does have to settle for the Galil. But yeah, this is it for the Blue Jays, like I said.
It'll be interesting to see if they're prepared for a 3rd round AWP, especially considering how rifle-oriented Sadzin has been in this map. They could definitely set him up to potentially find something, but instead, they're going to just use him as the one player on the lane side.
Look at the aggression here into A main. Freshie gets 2, but only 2. Slight needs to find 1 for himself here to really bring things in their favor, and he won't. And that means we're down to a 3v3 again because there was a frag in the meantime in favor of Legacy as well. Lato and Sadzin are low, but they can pull off of this, right? They can go towards that B site. Let's see if Snav cuts them off. If he pushes through here.
All on him.
Yeah.
Ooh. These timings, man. These timings are brutal, and Snap actually finds it. He takes away that low HP bar of Lotto and puts the focus back onto Dumal. Dumal and Sadzin trying to join hands somehow, some way. But Sadzin just pushed all the way back in the T doors here. And with the AWP, that's the downside of it, is you can't be as mobile, you can't take on as many angles, and he'll wait for his teammate to come through. They'll probably toss a smoke into that B bomb site and try to set up this AWP. But with time drawing to a close here, eventually you're just gonna have to hit a cracker of a headshot to open things up.
I think they're just gonna try taking dry fights. They're going for the element of surprise. Dare's at 15 HP. Dumal around the corner. Wins the fight. Thought he might have lost it for a moment. Snav sneaks through from shore B. Finds Dumal with util out. Sadzin a quick shot. Doesn't hit it. That means the round is over. And Blue Jays stay alive for now. 4th round picked up. Snav with a 3K. But they need to do it all over again. Money-wise, I think Legacy forces here.
Yeah, I think they absolutely can and should. But unfortunate there for Sadzin, man. I mean, he puts the bomb back into the front of his screen, and he's ready to put it down. And that's when Snap decides to move up from the short side. switches back to the AWP, can't hit the quick flip. But unfortunate. They've got money to spend though, Legacy. Timao trying to get the job done, but on the reload, Dare tries to go through, and that feels a little overzealous. That one feels like he's kind of screwed the pooch there, as folks might say. And a great trade onto this A site to at least give them a man advantage, but there's Slight. There's the guy you need.
He's been very quiet. Fruitcupx gets the follow-up afterwards, and wow, that was looking a little dire for the Blue Jays. I agree with you, Paladin. I think that was over-aggression on Dare's part, especially considering the scoreline here. I get you want to take a risk, but it's better to wait on the other side of that smoke. You know, the Punisher doesn't get anything, though. That'll leave it all up to Nissim in a 1v3 4 HP clutch attempt. Needs all headshots. Doesn't get it. The one who does get a headshot is Fruitcupx on the other side. He's got a 3K. And Blue Jays have 5. Legacy are on an eco now.
Warming back into it. And way to right the wrongs. I mean, look, if Slight gets a kill, they win the round. And this is big news. So hopefully he gets more kills. That's a nice shot that he hit as well. And I like that he's still calling his shot, nading open the smoke on his own to go for that fight. And it's hard to do that when you're at the scoreline that you are, to dig yourself deep and still play as though you're even on KD or positive on KD.
Sometimes just have to forget about the score on the board there. Freshie is going to get a couple onto Dumao and Lux. And yep, this round is over. The Glocks couldn't do anything as would be expected. The Blue Jays get a quick 6th round on the board. But yeah, no, you make a really good point, honestly, Paladin, because sometimes, you know, you look at that scoreboard and you say, man, things are just not going my way, and you feel a little down yourself. The best thing to do is actually what Slight did. Just pretend like it's all in the past, nothing really matters in terms of the scorecard, and you go in, you nade the smoke and get aggressive because you need to have impact. You don't have time to get down on yourself in a playoff match like this where elimination is on the line.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody's gonna know what your scoreline is unless you press tab. So
yep.
it can be in the rear view mirror as much as you want it. Spam damage is good from Dare, or onto Dare rather.
Yeah.
7 HP on him, and they're just gonna accelerate straight into this B bomb site.
Ooh, this could work really well for Legacy. Snap does catch one over in Cave. That's Lux gone. 5v4 in favor of the Blue Jays, but they do have one player that's very low, and Lato wins the fight against Fruitcupx. Dare is there for the trade, and he's got cave control with Snap, so this gets a lot more difficult for Legacy. Do they have the smoke? They do. Spam through it, actually connects onto Snap.
Oh.
Jumping through a Snap, that is bold. Spam is good to get Sadzine down to 2 HP, so both teams feeling the heat in terms of the HP bars. The Blue Jays are the ones with their backs against the wall. They need to find another frag soon. They do. They find 2, in fact. And it's all down to Nissim. Oh. And what a turn by Freshie on to Nissim with the AK. Blue Jays are fighting their way back. 7th picked up.
Just a split second of a sound cue there from Nissim giving over. But Freshie with a 90-degree turn. It's an audacious round from Dare as well. I mean, the spam on 7 HP to deal so much DPS was massive. I mean, there's so much impact out of him from the cave. And again, another eco for Legacy. I like the idea to potentially be ahead of the utility on that elbow side of things on B, but Blue Jays finally kicking together a bit of a resume now on the CT side.
This would be a round that, if they lose, it would be a real shame. Uh-oh.
No way.
Jumping Tech 9 for Lato. Instant M4 upgrade. They're going to accelerate. Lux running and gunning. Uh-oh. It's happening. 4v3 in favor of Legacy. I was a little concerned for the Blue Jays, right? With those Tech-9s barreling down. It's these types of rounds that can get away from you. And now Freshie takes so much damage, but he does get that frag dare onto Nissim. They're trying for another retake, and it's looking pretty strong so far. Sadzine only the P250 in his hands, and he's lost his teammate. What a great retake from Blue Jays when it looked a little dicey, and Slight has awoken here in this second half. 8th round for Blue Jays.
Better late than never, man. What a time to come back into the game. Jumping Tech-9 or not, they find a way to dig deep, and it comes down to Freshie, and it comes down to Dare, and especially Slight with the double. Another rebuy out for Legacy, considering that max loss bonus is available, but final timeout here to get Warden on the mic and really just get everything in shape here for the CT side, because they're not too far off now. And as I mentioned before, when we get into crunch time and the backs are against the wall, I will back the CT side of Blue Jays way more than I do the side of Legacy.
Now, you called it at the beginning, honestly. Blue Jays sometimes come out with their best work when they're in tough situations. And what is worse than 11-3 with a chance for Legacy to get a 12th and end it quickly? Instead, we've got 5 rounds in a row from the Blue Jays, but it's still not done yet. They've got an economy built up for Dare, Freshie, and Slight. So if this one manages to go the way of Legacy, then they can buy up and fight for their lives with dignity, let's say, in terms of their buy up anyway. But still, they want to get another one here. They don't want to allow Legacy back onto the scoreboard.
Still so hell-bent on trying to take this B bomb side off the back of a pick, and that's given room for Blue Jays to park Freshie into the A main side of things.
No.
It cuts the map in half, and the rotations are coming in sooner rather than later. Snap just has to live, and I think that they should have a viable shot at the retake here, but 5v5 post plant, John.
That's crazy. Blue Jays left the B site lightly defended, and Dare dies to a Molotov. Doesn't even get a chance to fire a shot. That is not great. Slight connects on the shot on Talato. He's trying to go for the boost, but an instant trade comes through, and it's still a man disadvantage for the Blue Jays. I mentioned they had the money. A couple of save guns would help out here, and they might have to call it. Yeah, they do. Snap's going to try and make it work here on the site, but he eventually falls, and Slight was already backing away from the fight. AWP save means a full buy should be viable here in this next round, but Legacy do indeed push Blue Jays to the limit. 12-8. And Blue Jays have to win 4 in a row. Oh, no. Oh, and he dodged the bomb. No way. After that, what a shame.
Valiant attempt from Slight, and I don't even necessarily think he should be buying the AWP in this situation. I would have rather him buy two rifles instead because of Fruitcup's income, but I guess because Fruitcup is more of an anchor player that you don't necessarily have to do that. Either way, I mean, they'll be kicking themselves for having a 5v5 post plan on the B bomb site. That just feels a bit overzealous, don't you think?
Yeah, they overlooked B, definitely on the defense, and they didn't realize until it was too late. Snap was smoked out in cave. Dare does get the opener here, but again, he dies to the Molotov for the second round in a row. We'll see how much that matters. Freshie does manage to get the trade on back, but he is not long for this round either. 3v3, Legacy, looking to barrel through Donut. Couple of players here. Fruitcup with that MP9 we talked about. If that's an M4, then Sadzine's dead, but it's not. So Sadzine survives with 9 HP. Now they're going to try and slip away to the B site potentially, but Blue Jays have the read. Slight's already rotating around to try and catch them off. Snav actually gets 2 towards mid. Sadzine and Nissim gone. And it looks like that saved op won't matter that much unless Lato gets the 1v3 clutch, and he will not. 9th round comes through. It's 3 rounds away from overtime here.
Those talons of the Blue Jays, man, they'll scratch their way into these very brawly rounds being thrown out by Legacy. Nobody really causing too much of a ruckus on that end, where these defaults are not necessarily even defaults. They're just kind of tunnels to get themselves into gunfights as soon as possible. Both sides looking to fist fight their way to a map victory. And this round is still dangerous for the Blue Jays. Lotto has got himself a hero AK. He's sneaking up the elbow, but Slight has caught the timing. And he might have seen the shoulder spotted from Lux as well, and he nails the shot. Huge 5v3 for Blue Jays to lock in, make that 5v2. Bomb dropped on lane, and double digits all but secured now for the CT side. It's just a 2-round differential.
It is wild that the Blue Jays are on to 10 here, because they are on to 10. Sadzine won't be able to do anything here, and Dare chases him down. Unreal. From 11 to 3 to 12 to 10. That is a 7-1 run for the Blue Jays, folks, and Slight has been an absolute key part of that recovery. Legacy
As much
will be back. Yep.
As much as you want to harp on the negatives of a player, you got to big him up after he pulls you back in this fashion as well, right? I mean, that's just phenomenal to see his turnaround here.
No question. Now Legacy are coming in. They got the buy up again. Molotovs are out. Dare's walking through them. Flashbang tossed. He was spotted there, so he has to be careful with how he approaches this fight. Lato, in the meantime, is working his way onto the B site. There's the Molotov, throwing a couple of them to isolate the Blue Jays players, but Dare, with the spam through the panel, connects for the first frag of the round. One step closer to finding 11. The problem is that Legacy have so much control here, but another flashbang comes through, thrown by Snap for himself, and it leads to one onto this, and this is very much favoring Blue Jays now. Dumao and Sadzin on notice, and it will indeed be, I think, a Blue Jays, yes, round victory. 11th round found. We are going to the limit. 24th round of play.
Goodness me, John. That is brutal for Legacy. You've got team flashes coming in. You've got Molotov aggression from the Blue Jays, and they find every kill necessary. How they're able to pull that one back, I couldn't tell you, but you got guns going dry on the bomb site and time being lost here for Legacy. Timeout called here to get Chucky to rally these troops in on the final round of regulation, but it's 5 Galils to defend their honor. And I'll be honest, I don't really fancy their chances with how fantastic Blue Jays CT side have just pulled things together here.
I mean, we already mentioned it before, but that 9-3 lead was not as big as it seemed.
It's deceptive.
Exactly, because of how well the Blue Jays played in that first half. They lost out on the clutch situations, which of course is important. You have to be clutch. You have to come through with those wins. But right here, they were able to fight back, knowing, of course, that they were so very close to making it a better first half. And now, while they've got a chance to push to overtime, and I did say before, Paladin, that, you know, that getting info match, probably a good indicator of what could happen here between these two teams. Obviously not even close to the way I expected it to happen, but we are, of course, in round number 24 with a tech timeout called. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, it's very short, apparently.
Should be good, should be good.
Same reason as before. So just taking
see,
brief
now
pause.
Now we can blame it on the lag.
It's lag, guys. That's why we're losing.
We've all been there. Don't say you haven't, chat. Well then, what do Legacy have on offer? 2 timeouts taken in a row from the Brazilians. What is that call from Lux? And you could potentially save yourself a whole lot of embarrassment if you still finish as 13-11. A win's a win. But if we go to overtime and all that pressure is put upon these youngsters, the story and the script can completely be flipped on an instant. And it's mid-control. That's the idea, and they get smattered with utility. Lux at 11 HP and Dumao at 47.
They have a potential path into the A site here, but Fruitcupx, while they are pushing him back a little bit, is tucked in here in a spot that will make their lives difficult once they decide to come out from here. And that does not help at all. Dare spots out Dumao with Lux already down to 11 HP. Legacy feels like they might have to face the inevitable here. An 11-3 comeback that'll lead to overtime. Still, not done yet. They've decided to rotate off the A side, which is the right call because it wasn't really working out for them at all, Paladin.
But I mean, think about it, right? They've got to go clear all of the B doors, all of lane, all of cave, and they only have one smoke to do that with. All of a sudden, this round, off the back of nothing from Dumao, completely writes away this A play. I mean, 30 seconds left on the clock. This should be easily red, Blue Jays. You can lean a third player over. Eventually, yeah, Dare's cleared it out and should be able to move back over, but he's caught between two minds. Retake scenario here for the Blue Jays. They're giving space to Legacy to potentially play out a post.
It's only 10 seconds left, though. Legacy have to go in here and not lose the bomb planter. They don't lose him, and Lato gets a frag. No way! Lato with 2! They only had a smoke! Just a smoke in the Galils, and it's working! 4v3 now. Slate comes around the corner. They need him, and he delivers. Makes it 3v3, but he will get traded immediately. Lato is popping off! 4K, the ace for Lato to get it in round number 24 for Legacy. They had an 11-3 lead. It almost got pulled away into overtime, but Lato stands on his head and does absolutely everything to deliver Legacy a berth in the lower bracket final.
Oh,